Making of Crediton Trail. Locations. How did you choose the locations you filmed at?
We chose were of historical significance.
Ooh, good one. Yeah, no, they were. Obviously you helped as well because like a local Crediton person, right? So you knew quite a lot already.
Yeah.
I think we also had a look at some previous trails as well, just to see, do a bit of research, find out where they had
St. Boniface one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
laid out kind of where we thought was worth visiting. It doesn't mean that we've got everything in it, because we wanted to make sure that it was walkable as a distance, not just for someone who was maybe really fit, but people in general, and wouldn't take a huge chunk out of your day. So if you powered through it, you could probably get through it between trains. So catch a train here, you've got like an hour or so, haven't you, that you could walk around and explore some of those stops. Or if you were here for the whole day as well, you could stop at places along the way. So you could stop at shops, check out the high street, go to people's park, go and have a picnic. So we kind of set tasks out around what we thought was interesting, what was relevant historically and relevant now, and could be reached within different time frames, so all day or short day.
How did you research the locations?
We Googled absolutely everything, and we went to the museum and we spoke to local people as well, and we drew on other projects that we've done previously. So previously we've done a heritage project looking at the Palace or Regal Cinema, so we drew on some of the things that we learned with that, and the places that we kind of thought were pretty cool as kids. When we were growing up, so like going to the park and whatnot, what's there, what's interesting about it. So we found a lot out by speaking to people, looking at projects that we've done before, going to the museum and thinking about the things that we thought were interesting and things that we knew already, but maybe needed to just confirm by having a look online and
into groups, and then people were researching different stops.
Just like stops and scripts.
Yeah, trying to find out any information.
How did you make sure that filming was safe and accessible during COVID-19 restrictions?
It was me, Kia and Roger. We went out when we were probably not meant to film, really, but we were unsure because obviously because we're organisations and we were funded to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
What were you going to say, Kia?
Did. It's great with big money because it's Carp as a lady, and I really silly I am because I'm not gonna chill. And
alright, cool.
Well, because not gonna in the police car because it's silly because people look at me because that bit.
Because you were dressed up as a sax.
Yeah.
So this was when
the police came.
We were trying to film in the high street.
Yeah.
At the arts centre.
Quite a nightmare.
Yes.
So
and we saw a police car go up one way
and then come down the other way.
Turned around and came and spoke to us.
Yeah.
But in our defence,
they didn't know either.
They didn't know if we were supposed to be doing it. So they asked, "Are you supposed to be doing this?"
And
we went
like,
"We think so. We've read the rules and we think we can do it."
Project.
But they wanted us to move on.
Yeah. So we
Okay.
moved on.
Yeah.
But that's more of a blooper, really, rather than a...
Yeah. So how did you make sure that the filming was safe? Because you were out and about in the community, so...
Social distancing.
Yeah.
Washing hands when we come back from tea room or come back to tea rooms.
There'd only ever be one or two.
There were only we chose three of us. Maybe
Maximum.
a bit more people went after the lockdown and happened.
Obviously, when Kia was standing places, obviously you can see in the videos he's always got his mask on, and people we were always doing it when there wasn't anyone else
Many
around.
people.
So yeah,
Cool.
that was good.
Okay, so what about making it accessible?
We did subtitles. We also did vocals by audio. And what other things did we do?
What were you doing all the way through?
Because
your hands.
My hands, I was signing it.
Yeah.
Because the show he talked about in Korea, like go to the Korean to extra know.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I do sign lots. I was a kid. I was a kid that would sign in the
Yeah.
film.
Cool.
So that was one of the things we decided, didn't we, to record
Yeah, do a bit of
the
Makaton.
audio separately so it was really clear.
Why did you choose a Saxon to present the film?
Choose a Saxon to present the films.
Good question. We chose a Saxon to present the films because we thought it would be fun. We thought it would be interesting, but also St Boniface. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you about it because some of it's in the films. Links to the Saxons, so it felt like something that was fun, but also still, relevant.
Why is the dragon part of it?
Why is the dragon part of it? The dragon is a reoccurring theme in a lot of the projects that we do. So we wanted a mascot that people that have done things with us before or hadn't come across us before could link to other things that we've done, if that makes sense.
How was the script written?
Was we kind of collected all the information we had and we tried to make it in bite-sized chunks, but then also make it so that we could adapt and change it if things turned out to not be interesting or be incorrect or needed updating or whatever.
Who wrote the script?
I think it was a bit of all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
Because
was.
that's what we like doing.
Yeah.
Ton of times.
And I think the other thing as well, wasn't it, was we had to decide what task we were going to give everyone all the way through. Because I think
Yeah.
initially we wanted it to be...
Multi-sense.
Yeah, we wanted 3 trails, didn't we? We wanted like a history one for kids, one for arts. And then we decided that we'd try to put all of them in together.
To make one.
Yeah, so we had to decide
Amazing not festival trail.
How did you make recording the script accessible?
We had it written. We also had someone dictate it so that I would say, if it was you that was being recorded, I would say whatever the line is, and then we'd hit record and then you would say it. So it meant that you didn't have to spend lots of time learning lines, it meant that you didn't have to read, and it meant that it could be done in small chunks, because as soon as you've done one line, you pause it, work out what the next one is, and just do it that way, because then you're not learning pages and pages and stuff, and yeah, like I said, you don't need to be able to read or anything. And whatever way works for people. I mean, Joe was the person who did the voice for the Saxon who was Keir, and that was just because Joe wanted to do it, really. There was no other reason, so we just worked out a way of making it possible so that we could get it done as quickly as possible as well. Because obviously if you've got to learn an entire script, that takes time, not just to write, but to learn it as well. Yeah.
Filming. How was it filmed?
It was all filmed on location. We arrived in fancy dress. It took a few attempts because what we tried to do to begin with is have the person behind the camera speaking the lines while the Saxon Makatoned the lines. That didn't work because the audio, you would get wind on it, you'd stumble over the lines, you might forget the Makaton signs, or you might misread the words, or it just didn't work so well. So the filming was just done on site, and we did it over quite a number of months due to issues with weather, COVID stuff, so being safe.
Have a phone.
Yeah, we did.
A video of me, because I'm doing acting.
Yeah.
Sign lots.
Yeah.
Didn't we
So
have
was there somebody helping you with the signing?
Well, yes, I did help the sign, yeah. And I did my own sign, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking a bit
Okay.
behind, wasn't I?
Yeah, behind, yeah.
So we had someone sort of filming,
Yeah,
someone
filming.
doing some of
Yeah.
the signs.
No sign.
You were looking at them,
Yeah, I did.
doing the signs back
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we had someone operating like a little
Oh,
tripod.
yeah,
Well, no, it was a
little
music.
tripod.
It's like a microphone stand, isn't it? That we attached.
Because
something
we could move it.
to do little pans. It was really good.
How many people were part of the crew?
Mostly it was 3 people. We sometimes had 4 or maybe 5. I don't
Yeah.
think we had more than that really.
But they
Then
would
we
rotate.
had-
They would rotate sometimes, wouldn't
Yeah,
they?
and then we had more people obviously at the tea rooms because We just had people writing the script. So, how many people do we have in?
It's got to be a
Did
good
have
10, 11, 12
10,
people.
yeah, quite a lot of people in that group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
So it depends on the day, and it depends on the COVID stuff as well, because that meant that lots of people were either isolating or ill or didn't attend to begin with, or we stopped doing it. So on a daily basis, it could be anywhere between sort of one person doing it and just editing it on their own, all the way up to maybe 20 people reviewing what we've done, like we've kind of done today. So in total, I don't know.
Tell us about bloopers.
Yeah, it's a police crime.
That was quite.
So weird.
It was, but on a serious thing though, that did put us off for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
we
it
had
did.
to stop really.
Stop filming completely.
Because I feel scared. Because
Yeah.
I'm worried about I'm not going to kill.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
So it's
Was
funny,
there,
but also
I
good.
guess,
funny.
was there people who did bloopers? There might be.
I don't know. I think most of the bloopers we've kept in actually.
Yeah.
So like when Kia was dancing around in the park and your hat
Yeah, I
fell
did.
off and your wig fell
Yeah,
off
so
because you were celebrating too hard.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it rained a bit as well.
Oh yeah. Then
Oh, when his
oh, that's
what do we call that?
we covered that up. It's when your sword fell out of your
Sword.
Hole?
fell out of your costume, and you were sort of stood there for
Yeah.
about 30 seconds,
Yeah.
just going.
Oh, walking.
So if you notice in the first video,
walking the wrong way sometimes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I know my helmet because it fell down. Because
the helmets kept falling down.
Were any of the locations tricky to film at?
All of them in their own way. So the ones in the park, obviously it's on grass, so and you don't want to get cold and you don't want to get wet. And there's members of the public out and about that might walk in front of the camera or be noisy or be rude or whatever, or interested. The actual physicality of the locations, it's quite a long way to walk between each one. So some of them we drove to in a car and then did it. And for the actual tangible map, we'd forgotten to take photos of each of the locations for the map, so I had to do that again. And then some of the photos didn't come out well. So actually there was lots of little issues with the locations. But other than the police issue and COVID happening, which obviously no one really foresaw happening, most of it was quite predictable. Just working with people, working with the weather, animals, getting in the way were the main issues.
I think the arts centre was because obviously the police incident and just traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the museum was as well because of traffic, but cars,
Yeah,
because we had to film on the other side of the road.
so to film across. I think that was the difficult bit, wasn't it? It was trying to get like the shots in.
Newcomb's was fine.
The Buccaneers was quite difficult too.
Buccaneers was hard as well. Yeah.
The perspective, wasn't it? Because I was basically standing on the road. And you were not. So that's right.
But everywhere else was fine, I'm pretty sure.
During filming, what barriers did you hit?
The main thing that made filming more difficult was time and COVID. So not knowing what the rules and regulations will be for the following week or in advance, so that we could plan a proper session and proper film schedule. And the fact that as an organisation we, to the best of our ability, kept running through COVID just meant that we had less people to deliver the same or slightly different work that we hadn't done before. So our main barriers were, instead of society, the ordinary barriers like people discriminating against people or not thinking things are good enough or assuming people can and can't do things. It was much more COVID that presented the more solid barriers. That
We hit some like in the editing bit. There were quite a few barriers with that. I think that was a bit frustrating. Because it's kind of the first time we've done something like that to that scale. I think we made that many videos in that short time. And I think just the way we ended up doing it meant that if you made a mistake, we kind of had to go back and redo the whole thing because we just did the
Because
same
you
thing.
could cut it completely.
Yeah. Which initially saved us loads of time, but then didn't because we had to go back and do stuff. So.
It wasn't bad.
Okay,
Music. Who wrote the music?
Who wrote the music?
Yeah.
The music was a last minute idea because even over the voice recording you could hear some noise in the background. I mean, we are tea rooms, so even if we set up a really quiet recording space, there's still going to be someone clinking a cup, or a customer comes in and the bell and the door rings, or the dog does something, I don't know. There's always a little bit of extra noise. And that, without any music or any other background noise in the video, sounded quite unprofessional. But also, just with the sound removed from the actual video recording and the voiceover at the top, the short video seemed kind of naked, like there wasn't a lot going on, there was something missing. So we talked a little bit about, as a group, what kind of music might be cool on it. And I think it was me and Jack, I think it was Jack and I, just talking about the kind of music we might, I think it was Jack, I can't remember now. Talking about video game music and how, you know, obviously you don't see Saxons in real life now, but what kind of music do they use in video games that we could probably put across. I mean, talking about Age of Empires and some of the music that's used in the background there. So that's where that music came from. And then we just went with it. We tried to just make something kind of modal and a little bit different to what we would usually do. And instead of giving it a structure, so putting words in it and making it like verse, chorus, whatever, we tried to keep it just the same. So if the videos were longer, we could loop it and it wouldn't be too obvious. So who wrote the music? No one really. We just kind of made it up as we went along and found ourselves and each other funny. And then when it sounded like it needed more layers, like the vocal bits in the background, we just added them in. And then just made sure the volume wasn't too high so you could still hear the speech and everything over the top.
What instruments were used?
We used guitar, a bit of
Yeah.
what's it
We had a cajon.
called?
Yeah, we had a cajon.
Did we have? Oh, we had the rain shaker.
Oh yeah, with the rainmaker that Stu was on. Then we had everyone else. I think was just doing like the chanting, weren't they? And that was really cool. And it was quite nice because it was looped. So that as we looped it, it meant when you're doing the editing thing, you could find
Just,
a bit,
yeah,
chop it,
chop
just
it,
loop it as long as
Loop
you
it,
needed.
loop it, loop it.
Yeah.
How did you record the music?
The music was recorded on a laptop, and I can't remember what program we used. It was either just Audacity or we used something like Logic, and we recorded it in all at once to begin with, and then that didn't work. And then we recorded it in layers. So we had the chords to begin with, and then we just put some drums, and then we did the vocals over at last of all. To be honest, we recorded it so many times and added so many layers. It just kind of, it's like making a sandwich really. And you know, you get your bread, you get your butter. Say you're having a ham and cheese sandwich, you put the ham and cheese in, and then that might be a good sandwich. Or maybe you need something more. Maybe you want a different sort of cheese in it, or maybe you want to change the kind of bread that you want. It was just layers of things put together until you arrived at a thing and went, yeah, do you know what? That's a really good sandwich.
Why was music added to the film?
More engaging, isn't
It
it?
just makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it's more interesting.
Yeah, it's something quite important. You need to music in the film because, like, when you film, like make film, we need music after the film too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Obviously, music's quite big. It's a big part of the Turn Size project too. And also, I think, like from the other point, just having the voice and the image, it just felt a bit strange. It felt a bit cold.
What inspired you to use the kind of music you used?
The games that we talked about was Age of Empires was, I think, our main inspiration, and some of the songs that we wrote in Jam Buddies years ago, just noodling around. I think it was just because we wanted something that could go in the background, a bit like lift music, but the kind of lift music that the Saxons might have had if they had lifts.
Not everyone is a musician. How did you make creating the music accessible?
A lot of our instruments are American tuning, and we essentially didn't give it a structure, which meant you didn't really need any musical understanding or any of it explained to you. And we listened to each other. So if there was an idea, no matter who it was coming from, it's still a good idea. And even if it's a bad idea, it's still an idea. So there's no such thing as a bad idea, is there? We were exploring it all together. And we recorded it in layers, so we did it a bit by bit at a time, and that meant we could delete things, add things, take things out, chop things, extend things. We could even auto-tune things and add reverb and whatever. So we did it just by being completely open to the idea that maybe, I think I suggested the music, maybe I didn't have a clue what I was talking about, and everyone else has got just as good input and musical knowledge and skills as I have in that situation. We're creating a song that never existed before, that was entirely circular, just because we fancied it. I think we made it accessible by believing that we could make it accessible, that the fact that it was a useful thing, that it was worth trying in itself, I think was a good starting point. The fact that everyone, they believe that anyone can create it. And if not, we'll work out why not and change that. Yeah. Is that it? Thank you very